185 mm of ground clearance. And with the lift system, an additional 20 mm. With Lift Plus, another 30 mm. Well, that small detail is quite important for this car in Indian conditions. Ground clearance is just not a problem. That in a way makes it perfect for India. But there's a lot more to the Purosangue than just ground clearance. This is a very radical Ferrari. It's the first four-door Ferrari, and looking at it, you can understand why Ferrari don't want you to call it an SUV, though it's quite high riding. It is a very radical, very innovative design. Let's dive straight into it to tell you more about it. The Purosangue is more of a high-riding sports car than a typical SUV, and a departure from the SUV template followed by rivals like Lamborghini, Porsche and Aston Martin. And though it's unlike any Ferrari yet, the Purosangue is still a Ferrari through and through, with that long bonnet, voluptuous curves and tightly skinned body. The massive 22-inch wheels in front and 23 inches at the back are the biggest on a Ferrari yet. The Purosangue also has the distinction of being Ferrari's first four-door ever. And Ferrari's four-door isn't just another four-door. Let's start with the way it opens. Yep, the rear door, it's rear hinged, very unique. A lot of challenges in doing that because it's got just one single hinge, but the main thing is getting in and out is super easy as a result. And you can shut the door with just the press of a button. How cool is that? The boot is big enough too and good for a weekend out with the family. So really this is a family Ferrari because you can take four people quite comfortably. And even the seat, the rear seat has an adjust not only for length but even for the backrest. You can recline the backrest. I mean, who would have thought you would be doing that in a Ferrari? But really, the world we are living in these days is full of surprises. This section over here, which is a big fat single hinge, it has kind of eaten into the width, but quite honestly, as a four-seater, it's good enough. But let's not spend too much time in the back seat because any Ferrari, the place to be is right there. From the elevated driving position, forward visibility is great and you can see well beyond the long bonnet. Visibility behind isn't that good because of the small rear glass which has no rear wiper. Ferrari says you don't need one because the airflow is angled to blow water and grime away. But we are not sure how effective that would be in grimy monsoon conditions. The chunky flat-bottom steering wheel is great to grip, but it's overloaded with too many controls. There are no buttons whatsoever, but only capacitive touchpads on either side of the wheel. And even the engine start button is touch sensitive instead of being a proper button. This takes away a bit of the charm of firing the V12. Ferrari has given indents in the touchpads for you to feel like Braille, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road to operate the controls. It's still not the most intuitive experience because the touchpads are fiddly and don't respond consistently. The instrument cluster is fully digital and configurable. You can switch between a navigation screen and the instrument panel, which has a large rev counter in the center. There's no built-in navigation and you're expected to use Google Maps. Makes sense. The passenger has a dedicated screen to select music or flick through some of the driving stats like revs and speed. Sitting between the driver and passenger screens is a rotary controller for the aircon, which rises out of the dash when you tap it. It adds a bit of drama to the cockpit, but again, it's not intuitive to use as you have to tap it again and again to select a function before twirling the rotary knob. The overall UI UX of the controls isn't great. Now all these foibles melt away when you fire the V12, which is an oral delight. Oh, listen to that V12. Now Ferrari say the heart of any car is its engine, and they've given it the works. The V12, 725 horsepower, honestly the last of a dying breed. I mean, how many V12s are there? And this one is certainly one to savor. Put your foot down and the Purosangue rockets forward with all the drama and thrill only a V12 can deliver. Rev the engine beyond 8,000 RPM and the sound is just spine-tingling. The Purosangue may be big and heavy, but it still has supercar levels of acceleration. And the claim time of 0 to 100 in 3.3 seconds is entirely believable, as is the top speed of 310 kilometers an hour. The beauty about this naturally aspirated V12 is its flexibility. It gives you a wide rev band to play with. It's an engine that loves to be wound hard and feels happiest at high revs. At low revs, this V12 is pretty muted, and Ferrari says it's their quietest engine yet. That's the result of a fair bit of sound deadening all round to give the all-weather Purosangue strong touring credentials. Now for a car that weighs 2 tons and is really long, honestly this is such a joy, so easy to drive, nothing high-strung about it. Even power delivery, it's very linear, and clearly, you know, this is a car that has got a lot of GT in it, a lot of cruising ability in it. In fact, a short run on the autoroute immediately established the Purosangue as a brilliant cruiser, and I could imagine it gobbling up Indian highways without the worry of scraping the underbelly or that expensive carbon fiber chin. It takes a few kilometers on narrow and icy Italian mountain roads to adjust to the Purosangue's size and power. But in no time, I find myself digging deeper and thoroughly enjoying that spot-on balance. A hard jab of the throttle in sport mode neatly brings the tail out in a burst of controlled oversteer. The way you can pivot the Purosangue around these tight hairpins and tight corners makes you feel like a hero, and you actually forget that this is a high-riding 2-ton car. The Purosangue has a wonderful predictability about it. It's not as high-strung as some of Ferrari's hardcore sport cars, but yet isn't short of thrills. And it's not short on price either. With all taxes and duties paid, you're looking at a price north of 7 crores. And that's if you can get an allotment for one, which, by the way, seems to be pretty impossible. So is it worth it? Now, there's never been a Ferrari like this. Comfortable, spacious, and suited to Indian roads. If anything, buy it just for that fabulous 6.5 litre V12 to savor internal combustion at its best.